Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of JD's Nascar and Sports Podcast. On this episode, we recap the Martinsville race and look forward to the championship race. And it is the last race of the season. So I hope you all enjoy this episode. And I'm looking forward to crowning a champion. So we'll see who wins this, and we'll get right into the race recap. Before I break down step by step what happened in the race, I wanted to start off by saying that, shockingly, there wasn't that much craziness at Martinsville this year. This is the first time that I remember it not coming down to the last lap as to who got in and who didn't. William Byron had an 8-point lead over Denny Hamlin for like the last 90 laps, it seemed like. And Denny just couldn't make up that gap. Denny pretty much had to win to get in. He had a great day, ended up finishing third, but it just wasn't enough. William Byron had a pretty big points cushion coming in. Finishes a lap down in the race, but advances his way in. So it was actually not what I expected. We said on here last week that, I really thought that it would come down to the last lap again as to who got in, who didn't. But for the first time in a while, it did not. So your championship four are Ryan Blaney, William Byron, Christopher Bell, and Kyle Larson. And those are your four guys that will be competing for a championship. Kyle Larson, of course, has won one title. Ryan Blaney hasn't won any. C. Bell hasn't won any. And William Byron hasn't won any. So we have a 75% chance that there's going to be a first-time champion. And, will that happen? I don't know. We'll see. You all will hear my prediction later on in the podcast. But I think that's a solid championship four. To be honest with you, I predicted Blaney as my surprise championship four guy, and he made it. And as you know, last year he ran very solid here. Probably could have won the race here last year. So I think it'll be interesting. I'm not saying it's going to be an amazing race. Phoenix in the past has not produced amazing racing or even good racing, to be honest with you. But we'll see. As you all know, I'm a big proponent of Homestead, Miami coming back to be the championship four race. But for this year and next, at least, it's going to be Phoenix. So we'll get right into what happened at Martinsville. Denny Hamlin was in the lead and was lapping cars as Alex Bowman and Harrison Burton got together trying to not go a lap down. Very close to the leaders. Very close to Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. But both of those guys were able to avoid the wreck. Denny goes on to win stage one. And I'll go ahead and say, I think this is going to be a pretty quick podcast just because, to be honest with you, nothing much really happened. As far as the race recap, it was pretty much your typical Martinsville next-gen race, to be honest with you. Denny wins the first stage. It looks like that he's going to be in good shape to advance as he needed all those points. Christopher Bell gets into Ryan Newman, spins him. That brings out a caution. And then Martin Truex, who maintained his track position, he started on the pole, ran top three up until this point, speeds on pit road, and this pretty much ended his day. As, it's pretty much impossible for him to get back up to the front. I think he still made it up to like 11th or 12th. But, just impossible. Once you have to go all the way to the back and trying to get to the front with these cars, and at Martinsville, it's hard to pass anyway. So that pretty much ended Martin Truex Jr.'s chances at a championship. And that's he was my championship pick to win it all at the beginning of the playoffs, just because I thought he was the most dominant car and had the most dominant team for most of the season. And they got to the playoffs, and it's like, I don't know what happened. They've struggled to run top 10, top 20, all playoffs long. I thought that would change at Martinsville. It probably would have had he not sped, but just you hate it for that team. So Truex was eliminated. Ryan Blaney wins stage two, and I honestly think if you watch this race, you could tell that him and Denny probably had the best cars, but Ryan was just a little bit better. And that little bit better led him to lead the last several laps and dominate the last half of this race. So congrats to Ryan Blaney as he advanced his way into the championship 4. One thing that did happen that I want to touch on a little bit that was just very confusing to me, and if you all listen to Actions Detrimental with Denny Hamlin, he broke it down on his podcast. He said that Ty Gibbs and Joey Logano had been going at it for a couple weeks before this. But based on the replay, it totally looked like Ty Gibbs was there, didn't throw a bad block, didn't do nothing. That looked like Joey just completely ran over him. So I don't know their beef in the past, if Joey just got tired of it or what, but he bumps Gibbs, spins him. Ty was running super well. Honestly, probably his best race that he'd had up to this point in his rookie season. He was running third at the time and was gaining on Denny, to be honest with you, and just wild stuff. And he just got flat out dumped. I didn't hear any comments from Ty after the race. Shockingly, I figured that would be something we would hear, but I'm sure he was not very happy at Joey for that. And then Carson Hocevar is a guy who's really seemed like he's smarted up, if you will, this season. Seems like he's making a lot better decisions, does a better job, has done a really nice job in the Cup Series. Tonight he's racing for a championship at Phoenix in the trucks, but made, I would say, a boneheaded move, as it looked like he just completely wrecked Ty Gibbs as Gibbs was trying to go back through. Hocevar being a lap car, I think Gibbs kind of gave him the bumper, got him up out of the groove and moved him, and Hocevar took exception to that. Looks like he just totally wrecked him. So hopefully we don't see that out of Hocevar anymore. I really like him, and I hope he continues to make good decisions. This one, however, was not a good decision. You can't do this stuff in the Cup Series, especially because, guys will get you back, and there's no room for that in the Cup Series. So hopefully he'll tighten it up, and, I could see him winning the Truck Series championship tonight, but we'll see. Michael McDowell, Eric Jones make contact. That brings out a caution. And that was the last caution to happen. And, something you don't see. And I think I saw a stat that this was like the longest green flag run to end a race at Martinsville in a very long time. And if you're a racing purist, I think you love to see that. If you want drama, you obviously don't, as there was none. But usually, it comes down to like a last 10, 20 lap restart, and the guys are battling to get in. It's literally the difference of one position, whether you get in or whether you don't. Just didn't have that drama this year. So I hate it. I kind of didn't like to see that. I was really looking forward to that. But Ryan Blaney wins. The best car won, I feel like. And I predicted him to win. Last week on the podcast, I predicted the championship 4 to be what they were. As I thought Blaney's so good here. And yes, I know Denny is too, but I didn't think Denny pit crew would deliver. They actually delivered. It was just the long run car. He didn't have what he needed during the long run, and just couldn't quite get there. So he brought home a third place finish, and hopefully next year is Denny's year, as this year will not be. So Ryan Blaney, big time win at Martinsville, and who's to say they couldn't? Who's to say they could not win the championship? I think he was very capable last year of winning that race, and I could see it happening again. So we'll see. And, that's the Cup race recap. And I'm actually going to talk about the Xfinity race recap now. Not really going step by step, but I'm going to touch on some of the most idiotic comments that I've ever seen from a team owner. And we'll get to that right now. Now on to the thing that the NASCAR world has been talking about this week. Comes down to the last couple laps of this Xfinity race. And I went back and watched the replay as I was going into the Kentucky-Tennessee football game. When I went into the game, there were 6 to go. And I thought Austin Hill was in pretty good shape to win. He was my pick to win the Xfinity race. But things happen at Martinsville, and, that didn't happen. But I'm going to get into what happened right here. First of all, I want to start off by saying, in my opinion, Sheldon Creed did not do a thing wrong. I think that, both those guys, I don't think either one of them did anything wrong, to be honest with you. I don't think Austin Hill did anything wrong when he leaned on Sheldon Creed as soon as the restart happened. And I definitely don't think Sheldon Creed did anything wrong leaning back on Austin Hill. He did the exact same thing. They're racing for a chance to go to Phoenix and compete for a championship. When you are doing that, there's no way. There's no holds barred. You got to go. It don't matter if you're racing your teammate or anybody else. You have got to go, and I definitely don't think that Sheldon did anything wrong. So I don't understand the outrage, to be honest with you. Richard Childers made one of the dumbest comments I've ever seen in my life, calling Sheldon Creed the stupidest driver that he's ever had in his organization. And, I could go in really deep on these comments, but I'm going to refrain from saying anything out of pocket. But I just think that that is a stupid comment, and I'm really glad Sheldon is going to get a chance somewhere else. Austin Hill kind of leaked the news that Sheldon Creed's going to be going to Gibbs at the end of this season. And, that was kind of the rumor. But I guess if he said that on national television, it's probably a done deal. So I would love to see Sheldon in the Gibbs ride in the Xfinity Series. I think, he'll have one of the best cars out there consistently. And, it looks, just from an outsider's perspective, I'm not in the garage on a weekly basis. But from an outsider's perspective, it really looks like Austin Hill was definitely the favorite there this year. Looks like he got more of the attention than Sheldon. I think, as he said in his post-race, that's one of the reasons why he's leaving. I like Sheldon. I've liked him since he won a championship in the Truck Series. I think he's a very capable driver. I think he's a good driver, and I think you'll see him get into victory lane multiple times next year. And, he's came so close this year as well. So, he's got second by a nose so many times that I can't count. But one thing I will say also is the Xfinity car is an amazing car. I wish the Cup Series would just switch to the Xfinity car, to be honest with you, because it puts on amazing racing, especially at Martinsville, but everywhere. I'm a huge fan of the Xfinity car and what they've done with it. And, the Gen 6 Cup car seems similar to it, but I think that if Cup went to the Xfinity cars, that would be so awesome. So, you would have a lot better racing, it seems like. Maybe not at mile and a halves, but your short tracks and super speedways would just be amazing. So, I just wanted to touch on that. The comments by Richard Childers really rubbed me the wrong way, to be honest with you. I don't think that was very professional at all by him, as you've got a driver under contract still for the rest of this season. So I don't really understand why you would say that. I know you're mad that neither one of them are going to Phoenix, but I think had the roles been reversed, it's a lot different. I don't think anything's said or none of this drama. And I don't really understand why Austin Hill's mad either. Said he pretty much got brake checked. They ought to know better than that. They ought to know better that why would Sheldon brake at the exit of the corner? It just makes no sense. If he's trying to win the race, why would he do that just to get back at his teammate? That's just a dumb thought anyway. It's came out since then that something broke on Sheldon's car is why he slowed up so much. I honestly just thought when I first saw it, he just missed the corner, misjudged it, and had to come to a stop. There was no thought in my mind that he purposely brake checked Austin Hill just to mess up his car and ruin his chances. That never came to my mind once. So, but that's just my thoughts on the situation. You all let me know. I know this has been the talk of the NASCAR world this week. It's all anybody really wants to talk about. All the messages I've got this week really hasn't even been about the championship 4 and the Cup side. It's been about the drama between Creed and Hill in the Xfinity Series. That's all you all want to talk about. So I figured I'd dedicate about 5 minutes or so during this podcast to give you my side of it and give you my rant. So now we'll get into championship 4 picks. And, I'm going to do each series in the truck series. I think that, which I want to say a start time of 10 p.m. Eastern for my East Coast people. Going to be up late if you're going to watch this one, folks. I plan on trying to make it through it. I think, the trucks seem like they actually put on a decent race at Phoenix, especially if it comes down to a late race restart and they fan out. Corey Heim seems like he's been the fastest consistently. But Ben Rhodes is really good at Phoenix. But, a guy that I touched on a little bit before, and a guy that I think is destined to do great things at the Cup level next year, I think Carson Hocevar wins his Cup title, or his truck title at Phoenix, his first ever championship. They've just been good all year, to be honest with you. They've had vast improvements in that 42 camp, and I think Carson Hocevar brings home the title in the truck series. Now, Xfinity. John Hunter Nemechek has been, without a doubt, the quickest car all year long. He's won several races. But a guy that's due, and a guy that's been due for a long time, Mr. Phoenix, Justin Allgaier is my pick to win the Xfinity championship. I think that, after last year, he felt like he could get it done. And I know Noah Gragson felt the same way, but Ty Gibbs ended up winning. I think this year Junior Motorsports gets that Xfinity title, and I think Justin Allgaier finally gets it done after several long years of not having a title. I think Justin Allgaier finally gets it done in that 7 car. I think the Xfinity race will be awesome. I really do. Like I said, I'm a huge proponent for that Xfinity car, so I think all these races will be, pretty decent. On the Cup side, will it be a good race? I don't want to say yes, to be honest with you, because I'm not very confident. But I think, this was the hardest one for me to predict, to be honest with you, because I think any of these 4 guys are very capable of winning it. And it wouldn't surprise me if any of them do, to be honest with you. I think the most surprising would be Seabell, just because Toyotas really haven't ran all that great at Phoenix lately. But at the same time, everybody seems like they're picking Blaney. I'm not going to go Blaney either. I'm actually going to go William Byron. I think William Byron wins his first ever championship. I think that they've just been super quick. He won here at Phoenix in the spring, and I think that he's poised to get it done. I really do. So we'll see. Would it shock me? Like I said, could Larson go do it? Yes, he could win his second title, and it would not surprise me at all. But I think this year's Willie B's turn. So we'll see. I think it'll be the first of a couple titles that Willie B wins in his career. He's just getting started. He's a young guy. And I think, 2 of my championship 4 made it, and that's Blaney and Byron. So either one of those guys wins, and I would not be shocked. But I'm going the 24 of Willie B. And I just wanted to say thank you all. This season has been incredible. And, of course, we'll be back next week for the last episode of this NASCAR season. I'm still debating on what to do after next week. And I will definitely let you all know those plans as soon as I decide what I'm doing. I still am favoring the route of going back and watching a classic race and recapping it. I think that would be super fun. And, we'll see. But I appreciate all the listens, all the likes, all the shares. They did not go unnoticed. So now we will get into this week's question of the week. This week's question of the week. These are all solid questions. Every one that I get. And I try to pick the best one I get of the week, in my opinion. And I don't think I've answered this one fully, like as a question of the week. And if I have, I'm sorry. I don't want to repeat. But this doesn't really sound familiar to me. It says, who is the biggest influence / what made you decide to start a podcast? And to be honest, we've talked about a little bit of my health issues that I've had and stuff, and I really wasn't doing that much, as far as being active in the community or doing anything like that. I mean, of course, I'm busy with my children, quite frankly, but, to do something else in my free time, and I loved listening to podcasts about NASCAR, about Kentucky sports, about sports in general. So I just thought, heck, my opinions on things are just as good or, just as informative as these people, So then I started researching stuff on how to make a podcast, how to edit them. I've self-taught myself everything. Like I've started completely from nothing and have grew it into what it is now. So I take pride in that, and I just did it, to be honest with you. I watch the races every Sunday anyway, and the Xfinity on Saturday anyway. So why not talk about them with people? Why not share my opinions? And I'm glad you all have enjoyed it. That means the world to me. And the biggest influence, I'm going to be honest with you, and you are going to say, oh, he's just a homer. I'm tired of him talking about Denny Hamlin. But when Denny started his podcast and could be himself and could give his opinions, without someone breathing down his neck, that really helped me. Like, that really inspired me to be like, I can give my opinions on things. And if people disagree, they disagree. We can talk about it. But, I really enjoy his podcast. Another one's Dale Jr. I love listening to the Dale Jr. download every week, especially his driver interviews. I'm listening to the one with Jamie McMurray right now, and it's one of the best ones that I think he's done. I really enjoyed watching Jamie when I was little. So he was one of my favorites when I was little, and to hear him talk about his journey and how he got into racing and stuff is just awesome. And so I really enjoy both of those. Those are my main two influences and podcasts that I listen to NASCAR-wise that I really enjoy. And so thank you to those guys for being inspirations. And thank you to everyone who continues to listen. You all really mean the world to me, and I truly mean that. And thank you. So until next week, where we will recap and look at who won the championships in these 3 series. And we'll see, and we'll talk about it. And we got a late one tonight, folks. Like I said, Truck Series, 10 p.m. Eastern start time. It's going to be hard on these people on my side of the country. So we'll watch it, and hopefully it'll be a good, entertaining race. And until next week, this has been JD's NASCAR Sports Podcast. Now, you all didn't think I would forget to remind you to continue to like, share, rate, and review. I would really appreciate the 5-star reviews on Apple and Spotify if you all could. That always helps. And the listenership and impressions on Spotify have continued to be good. So thank you all. Continue doing what you're doing, and I'll continue doing what I do, as I love breaking all this stuff down. So thank you all. And once again, this has been JD's NASCAR and Sports Podcast. We'll see you next week.